Hi, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Sorry to be away, which is what I always seem to say because I always seem to be away. But as I've said many times, making videos when you're just staring at this little dot on the left side of the iPad is just weird. It's weird because you're not like, at least when I perform, when I sing and play at bars, mostly, I can see everybody and there's some feeling of interaction. And here you're just staring at the little eyeball right there and trying to pretend it's you. And here you are. So thanks for being here. Okay, so I have been working a lot lately. I've been super busy. This is a super busy time of year for me. Um, and then doing a lot of personal projects too, and concert promotions and all of the things that are crammed into my life. And it's just how it is every February, March, April, top of May, and then it eases off. So that's made it hard too because I'm just I'm very tired. In fact, I worked late this evening and have only been home a short while, and am super excited to have this first glass of whiskey this evening. Thank you, Kat, for my fantastic glass. So cheers to all of you. I thought I would ramble on about current events and then perhaps talk about some recent dreams. My dream activity has been really pretty heavy, actually very heavy, and I'm also feeling a lot of connectivity when I pray, which is mostly at night at bedtime. I find that when Shay, there he is, say hi, buddy. Good boy. Excuse me. When Shay joins me in bed and I get to petting him and I start to, well, I'm lying on my back and I have my eyes closed and I start to pray. That's a lot of times I start to feel that connectivity in my third eye. It's a very natural thing, and I see swirling colors. And in the last week, there was one day that felt a little stronger connection, and this has happened to me before. I could see an eye looking back at me in the swirling colors, and it looked like a woman's eye, but and it wasn't creepy. In fact, if anything, when I see the eye, I'm like, oh my God, show me more. Let me see more. And I have never really researched. I've never really looked into like why sort of my level of connectivity is where it is, and I wouldn't say it's plateaued exactly, but most of what I get isn't as information, if you will, is in dreams. Um, and my intuition is I trust my intuition pretty strongly. I definitely am very empathetic. I pick up on feelings in a room very quickly, and I'm sure anybody watching this is the same way. So it kind of feels like I'm telling you what you already know. But I wondered, like, what, like, should I try to do something specific to get a little more connected, or is my level of connectivity enough? I got enough going on in some ways. But definitely, like, through dreams is where I get a lot of I don't know about messages exactly, but experiences out in the universe for sure. And it's making me think of a couple different ways I could go with this discussion. One is to talk about a reading that Kim Carey gave for me recently that was really interesting and kind of hinted at a galactic background for myself and my family, and that we're all sort of connected. And she sort of, her summary was that the energies in the kind of in the main group I hang out with are mainly male energies. And she said that she thought there were kind of like five main ones of us, and three of us are here, being my mom and my brother and myself, my brother Steve. Then my brother Justin is on the other side, as you probably know from, sorry, hearing me read about him, hearing me talk about him and read from my books. Sorry, I have something suddenly in my eye, which is really annoying. Okay, that hurts. Okay, great. Uh, I can hear you typing right now, Diane. I know you'll have something to say about that. I'm not going to edit it. It takes too long to go back and edit. Um, warts and all is my approach. So, um, so she said five male energies, and that, in what we think we've learned about reincarnation and things like that, the nature of your soul energy can be different from the physical body that you take on. Like, let's say my mom, for example. Like, I could, like, even when I told her about the reading, I think I shared the whole reading with her because it was recorded. She said that made sense to her, that she could be a male energy because she's very, like, forceful, very forceful. Um, and I know that's where I get a lot of my rip and roar from. So Kim said there were like five of us, and then the four that I mentioned, then maybe a fifth that we don't really know about that stayed on the other side, or didn't incarnate this time, or maybe is doing something else. And she said that, like, she felt that we had been like we had lived in a lot of places, not just Earth, like that we were sort of galactic in a sense, which makes sense to me, just given that I have all these galactic dreams. I have dreams of, excuse me, of places that I have never seen, that may or may not be real places. They certainly seem real a lot of times when I go to them, and the solar system and the stars will look very unfamiliar. Excuse me. I just had a snack, so naturally, it wants to come back and visit again. Uh, it's so nice that I tasted it twice. Now that's when that's when my brother would groan, because I always make that joke, and it's a terrible joke. It's disgusting. So hope you enjoyed it. Um, so that was the Kim thing, and then, like, and I'm talking about Kim Carey. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Intuitive View is her YouTube channel, and she's one of the psychics that I respect the most. I think that her ego is um, so small, or so well managed, that she's operating from the purest intent. Like, her ego doesn't get in the way of, excuse me, what she's reading on and what she's looking into, and so, like, her information feels more trustworthy. And she did her weekly readings for members of her channel this week. So my week was up. Like, I was people with the first name initials M through R. So I got to ask a question in this week, and I asked what is music like on the other side, and what can we make music on the other side? And she said that it, in a way of trying to describe it, like, it's much more vast, maybe I could say. She said, whereas in Western music we have 12 tonal intervals that are repeated in octaves, she said that there are so many more intervals. There's maybe, I could even imagine that the musical scale could be broken up into all these further intervals. And actually, in some Eastern styles of music that I'm not familiar enough with, like, I think a lot of early music from India is what they call microtonal, where, like, they use more tones in between the 12 tones that are dominant in Western music. And you hear it in, like, the bending and the, like, I can't really describe it properly, but if you've heard any Indian music, they make use of these smaller intervals between the main intervals. It's hard to describe. But Kim said that there were just so many more intervals, and I even imagined, like, we exist in a certain range of frequencies. It seems, this dimension, and let's say there's just almost an infinite scale of dimensions. From low vibration to ultra high. That means that music, like, I think Western music, I think we are able to hear about 5 octaves of range from low subfrequencies to high frequencies. But imagine if there were thousands of octaves available. Like music could be so incredibly complex. And she said it was. She said it's much easier to compose music on the other side because the thought becomes the music. Whereas here, part of the challenge for someone to incarnate is that it's harder. It's harder here, but you can make beautiful music here, obviously. But she said that in a way it's easier there because the thought becomes the music, and that's like a manifestation thing that I think is also underlies existence here, because we know it's in my books. Like when you talk about quantum physics, like thought influences reality. And so I have often thought of this realm, this reality, as a shared reality we co-create with the other souls that are here at this time and with the universe itself. So if you're not satisfied with, say, the current political situation, which I will discuss a little bit, that's because maybe a few more, a few of what we might consider less enlightened or less empathetic souls have chosen a direction that a lot of the rest of us would not have chosen. But they may learn the error of their ways, and I kind of feel like that's already beginning to happen. But anyway, as regards music on the other side, instant thought. And then she said, you don't have the body, you don't have a body. So she said the way you experience music is like through the whole of your being. And then she even said something about, I'd have to listen to it again, like about how music is often accompanied by a visual element, either that's colors or pictures or like, and I have stuff about this in the books too, where like, what do they call it? It's not synesthesia, is that it? But like some people, when they hear music, they see colors, and it's only because of our senses, the way our senses are in this dimension, that we experience the waves, sound waves, as sound. If you had a different set of senses, or your senses were made differently, like some, insects and birds and other animals have different ways of perceiving the world. They see and hear and smell and feel the world differently. You might, in fact, be able to see music. You would see the waves as colors or something more. So that was an interesting thought, and I don't take for granted that. Excuse me, I'm so rude. That's what this channel is. This channel is rude. Um, I don't take for granted that music on Earth is really of Earth, and like when I think about the things about the world that I love, music is among them. And truly, the quote by Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, is in my mind absolutely spot on. Without music, life would be a mistake. Maybe also add alcohol to my personal list. um, well, Ben Franklin is reported to have said, what is it? Beer is proof that God exists and wants us to be happy. That's a good one. So, I almost had a point there. I don't take for granted that music here is of this realm. Like the music that I love, the way that I feel it here is unique to here. So even if we get to the other side and let's say I'm still listening to records by, you name it, your favorite artist in place of mine, it's gonna feel different. Because we won't have they won't be received through the physical body in the same way. It'll be a different experience. And I said that I think in both of the books that I wrote, that when we presume that, say, like the future will be better than the present, or the past was better than now, or that heaven will be better than here, or vice versa, I think you can only say that they're probably just very different. They're very different, almost to the point of being incomparable. And if you're where you can get to this frame of mind, appreciate what this is, where this is, because when we leave here, some of the feeling associated with being here will probably be, it won't go away, but it'll feel different because we'll be looking at it from a different perspective. So I think that's just part of my getting older and thinking about how much I love the music that I love, and how like grateful I am that it exists. Like I even say prayers to musicians that I love, like, God bless you, Amy Winehouse, or God bless you, Mark Hollis, like for making the music that you made, even if they did it just really for themselves, because it's such a comfort, and it's such a joy to experience it here. And yeah, that's that. So, was that all I wanted to say about that? Well, like since Assface took office, like those first couple weeks, I just found them devastating. I was, like many people, completely overwhelmed, really despairing. And I finally started to come out of it, really from one of Kim's videos, I think, even one of her Sunday videos, either this past week, or I think it was maybe the week before, or maybe the week before. Time's been going so fast. Where I did a bit of a kind of a letting go. Like sometimes my mind, I tend to be the kind of person who, when things aren't like perfect, or the way I think they should be perfect, like sometimes I make the enemy of perfect. I'm not saying this properly. Sometimes if it's less than perfect, like to me it's ruined, but I don't really mean that. But like I guess I see a lot of missed opportunities. I see opportunities pass by for there to be more beauty in the world, especially musically, because I think in terms of music a lot. I've just come across so much beautiful music that is really like unknown or untapped. I mean, for example, I may have talked about before about this Greek jazz composer that I love. His name is Petros Klampanis. Actually, I'm wearing his shirt. Well, this is the title of his new record, Latent Info. And he's not super well known at all, but I had a hand in bringing him to Buffalo. It is cold here. Bringing him to Buffalo last weekend with his jazz trio. And it's only because they were already performing in New York, and I met him about, I don't know, close to 10 years ago, which is another story to itself. And we've kept in a little bit of touch. And I told him, I said, if you're going to be in the States again, I'll see if I can bring you to Buffalo. And I've been so fortunate to have so much success with the concert promotions that I've been doing in the last 6, 7 years, in addition to my day job, and in addition to performing, and in addition to writing my own music and recording it and trying to get another CD done, that it's been going so well that I actually I put aside a chunk of money I made off some other shows to subsidize bringing him to Buffalo, because I knew the audience wouldn't be huge. So I brought him and his group to a room that could hold 100 people, and I sold like 42 tickets. It was it was a great show, and of course, then as the host, I get to pick them up at the airport, have lunch with them, talk about whatever, music, life, you name it, and like being in the company of highly talented, incredibly smart people is such a drug for me. I get such a high off of it. And I have worked in the arts and performed since I was in high school. And I've helped a lot of artists. I have found ways of bringing a lot of performers to Buffalo that no one would have ever seen otherwise, which is a little bit of a humble brag. But when I worked at the University Arts Center, I spent a lot of time learning about professional dance and bringing dance companies to perform in Buffalo. And I think in a 20-year period of time when I worked there, I booked about 80 dance companies. And I grew to love dance in a way that was parallel to loving music, even though I had no physical experiences like a dancer the way I have the physical experience of being a musician. And now that I think about it, I haven't really traveled all that much. I've traveled around the United States a bit, mostly coastal, but I haven't traveled out of the country that much. And in a way, I think a lot of my life has been bringing the outside world to Buffalo through arts. So, not to say that I would never travel, but I'm a bit of a homebody. I mean, look at this little beautiful guy, you know? So, can you really travel with a cat? Can you go on a 60 city tour with a cat? Maybe you can. I don't know. Plus, being away from my family would be tough. So that's a ramble too. But circling back to connectivity and getting a little back on the train tracks personally and feeling a little bit better personally. Some of that came through like sort of realizing that I can't singularly control where things are going, and doing the letting go of like, well, yes, people are going to be hurt by this new administration. They're already being hurt here globally, and I can only do what I can do. I can only do what I can do, and that's enough. Because if I can do good in my sphere, it'll have to be enough. And the letting go was very healthy for me. I'm hoping that I stay there. Certainly, there are some days when I'll read a story and I'll be like, Jesus Christ, like, what are they up to now? Sorry, I had this on kind of as a bit of extra light. I had the TV on to slightly illuminate me further. Um, you know, but on the whole, I'm getting my head a little bit more straight and I'm reacting with less. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on, TV. Don't be like that. Um, I, it's making me less angry and less, for lack of a better description, less like despondent. I mean, when uh, this thing got started, with Ass Face, come on. Um, I was falling into despair and feeling like my attitude towards people who had voted for him was kind of like, good luck, fuckers. Like, you're going to find out, the old FAFO, fuck around and find out. And really chewing up the Schadenfreude and, of people finding out. And I know that's still a part of my personality that I could work on. But at the same time, I feel a little less intensely angry about it all, or like beyond hope about it, because even in the last week, not that I really want to talk about him that much, because I think there is something to giving him energy that he doesn't really deserve. And when we do focus on him, I think it gives him some weird something. So it's briefly, his his comments about Zelensky are so far out of bounds, and he has for years been claiming that he's the victim of persecution over his ties to Vladimir, and denies that there's anything untoward there. But this past week, he went beyond my expectations in how obvious he was about how he belongs to them. He belongs to Vladimir, either financially, in some kind of weird Epstein way, or by choice, because Vlad is what he also aspires to be. But I see the cracks forming. I see the cracks forming in people who were on the fence about him, feeling like, whoa, there's something very troubling about us, this country, embracing, of all countries, one that is run by someone so despicable. And it gives me some hope that some of the people that we need to come back towards the light are gonna start to do that. And yes, there's gonna be, let's call it a third of the country that has decided that they don't really believe in democracy anymore, and they do want a king, and they want autocracy. They're not going to change their minds. So you and I, we might as well just get used to it. I know it's a weird thing to say, but like, it's part of my sort of getting my head in order, and being like, when somebody says something that I just think is so ridiculous, I'll just be like, okay, fine. Like, I'm not going to change their mind. I mean, that's on them, What is this? Sorry. I'm having a squirrel moment. I thought I had a screensaver on, and just, there we go. See? You can cooperate, television. So, like, their comments are kind of bouncing off, and the more that Assface does these things that are so anathema to a lot of Americans, I just can't see a majority sticking with him. Even, let's say, if it's 55% of the country that disapproves of him, that's enough, or maybe enough to move things or get things moving towards some form of a defeat for him. I hope it doesn't take as long as the midterm election. I guess part of my letting go is not thinking that far ahead. I'm just determined to... Well, one of the other things that Kim said to me in the reading that she gave me, because it was right at the start of the new administration, was for me to say yes to life. Because I think that in my retreat and in my extreme disappointment, I was starting to say no to life. And it's hard to... I don't really want to elaborate on that in great detail. I think you understand what I mean. Sometimes we withdraw and we punish ourselves. But why should I punish myself for what's out there? Like, there's still, like, You are responsible for you. I'm responsible for me. We're responsible for our own joy and pleasure. And when I just finally got down to it, it's like, I'll be damned if I'm going to let all of that out there ruin what's in here and what can still be experienced. And so, like, coming back even just to that pure love of music that I have, where, like Kim said, that we, in the other realm, we experience music with the whole of our being. Well, I feel music with the whole of my being here. And when I hear great music that surprises me in some fashion, either just through just the any number of things, the emotional honesty, the cleverness of the composition, the musical talent, the extreme musical talent behind in the performance, whatever. It rejuvenates me in a way that few other things can do, and those are reasons to be here and to say yes to life for me. And then you have to decide for yourself what those are, or you don't, or you don't have to at all. But you'll probably enjoy your days less. And as I had been, I was making my own days kind of miserable. My personality's a bit extreme like that anyway, high to low. One of the things that's helped me in terms of connectivity, like when I do my prayers at night, I mean, I pray for specific people and specific things, but one of the prayers that I found to be effective, if you feel like you want to try it, was, again, lying on my back with my buddy next to me, petting him, feeling his energy and affection, and then being like, connect me, or really reconnect me. Connect me to, well, actually, I started to call out animal energies, like connect me to feline energy, like the energy of cats and leopards and lions. I know it sounds goofy. I was really thinking of him, but like, or even the neighborhood cats. And it made me think later, like, about, I wonder if that's like what some Native Americans may have and still believe, like, especially before all this technology, when you lived closer to the earth, really, you, from a spiritual point of view, might pray to the eagle in the sky and the birds and the ants and the toads and the frogs and the worms and the spiders and, yes, Diane, the snakes and the scorpions and anything else that even frightens you. The bears, the sky, the air, the water. And stupid TV. This lighting's fine. 3333 on my counter there. 33 minutes, 33 seconds. When I did that, and I was saying, connect me to these things, and like, connect me to earth, like, connect me down through the earth, through this bed, through this house, down into the ground, to the roots of all the trees that are running underneath and around this house, and the squirrels that live in trees, and everything that lives off the trees and with the trees, and connect me to the dirt, connect me down through the earth. Like, I know from a land survey that was done on my house that it's 65 feet from the ground to get to bedrock, the bedrock beneath, so 65 feet of dirt and sand and other things until you hit, like, literal bedrock. So let my energy sink into the earth like the roots of a tree and spread and ground me like the roots of a tree into this place that I live, and let me be a part of the whole with the nature that is here, and the squirrels that I feed every day, and the birds that I feed every day. And that did it. The longer I prayed in this way and visualized it, and visualized like the circles of light around the house, protective light, and around the neighborhood, and just like, even I always think of them as like sort of starting as small circles around myself, and then like wider and wider, and going wider and wider, and visualizing it. The strength of our visualization, I think, can be quite strong. I think this is part of the manifestation that people talk about. And for me, the longer I pray in this mode and then include people I love in it and send them energy too, it usually helps me fall asleep. So maybe you want to try something like that. It's whatever works for you. Excuse me, we all got our own way. That seems like a good place to stop. I was going to drop into some dreams, but there's just like too many notes about them. There haven't been any political dreams. I think I'm thankful for that. There have been plenty of levitation dreams. Always. Always levitating in dreams. Oh, I forgot. I asked Kim about that in one of the chats on her channel. Is it actually possible to levitate? Maybe I mentioned this before, or just to a few friends who watch. And to my surprise, through her guides, she answered that it's a matter of mind over matter. So that is manifestation, right? Manifestation is mind or soul energy over matter, which is malleable, which is flexible. So there may yet be a way to levitate. And she said, what was the part 2 to that she said that was really interesting? She said, it may have been that she said that what part of what makes it hard is how dense this realm is. Oh, I know what it was. I mean, that they were alluding to this, but it required a certain lightness of being in order to levitate. And this also makes sense from other things that she said, where like she describes really high energy spirits and angels and guides as like super lightweight. Like their frequency is so high that they hardly encompass any, maybe like what we would think of as a mass, but I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But it's like, how to describe it? I don't know if I can describe it better than that. But she'll talk about vibrational frequencies in terms of almost like weight, almost like we're heavy and low, and spirit is light and much more free and dynamic. And so I think maybe it's a sort of, not exactly gentleness, but it's a softness of soul and heart and lightness of being that might make it possible for a human being to levitate. But since we know of so few who have ever done it, or maybe none, none that we know of, it's probably not that easy to do it. But I love the fact that they didn't say it couldn't be done. I don't think at this current time I possess sufficient lightness of being to levitate. But never say never, I think, is the point. Okay, 39.39 on the counter. I'm going to go. I'm going to finish my whiskey, and then I won't have to think anymore. And hope you're well. Take care. Please share your thoughts with me below. I love the interaction. And I'll have to come back soon and do another book reading from my relatively new book. Life is Magic. Okay, take care. See you soon.